Hush is a gripping home invasion thriller set in a remote and isolated location crafted by the minds of Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel. It centers around Maddie Young, a deaf and mute author who faces a terrifying battle for survival against a sadistic intruder who invades her home. The setup. The film opens with Maddie, a solitary writer living in a secluded house deep in the woods. Having lost her hearing and ability to speak as a teenager due to bacterial meningitis, Maddie has learned to navigate her disability, successfully channeling her experiences into her writing. She is engrossed in completing her latest novel, a process that parallels her sharp strategic mind. Despite the silence surrounding her, Maddie's life unfolds as a tapestry of creativity and introspection intertwined with her communication with the outside world, particularly her neighbor Sarah, with whom she practices sign language. Maddie's solitude and vulnerability are starkly highlighted through the stillness and isolation of her environment. Her unique adaptations to her disability, such as a vibrating fire alarm system, showcase her resourcefulness while underlining the heightened risks she faces as a deaf person living alone, elements that set the stage for the ensuing ordeal. The killer arrives. Tension escalates when Sarah visits to return a book and to engage in their usual sign language practice. Their interaction reflects Maddie's nurturing nature. However, after Sarah departs, horror strikes as she becomes the target of a masked intruder wielding a crossbow. Maddie, unable to hear the chaos unfolding outside, is oblivious to the violence that claims her friend. The intruder, recognizing Maddie's disability, perceives her as an easy target for his malevolent game. Following the brutal attack on Sarah, he disables Maddie's phone, isolating her further. The killer toys with Maddie, employing psychological terror by tapping on windows and prowling around her home. Eventually, he taunts her by revealing his sinister intent to kill, but only on his own terms. A game of survival. Realizing she is under threat, Maddie locks herself inside, initiating a deadly game of cat and mouse. She leaves a desperate message on the glass door: "Won't tell. Didn't see face. Boyfriend coming home." However, her efforts to deceive the killer are met with chilling ridicule. He reveals his sadistic glee, declaring, "When you wish you were dead, that's when I'll come inside." This sets a bleak tone for the harrowing hours ahead as Maddie battles to outsmart her tormentor and survive the night. The film deftly explores themes of isolation, resilience, and the primal instinct to fight for one's life in the face of overwhelming odds. Maddie's resourcefulness showcases a fierce battle of wits as the protagonist Maddie brilliantly employs her intelligence and creativity to outsmart a killer. Utilizing a vibrating alarm system, Maddie creates distractions while her writing skills allow her to visualize various scenarios, guiding her decisions and keeping her one step ahead of the intruder. In a tense moment, she attempts to escape through an open window but is thwarted when the killer forcefully shuts it. Resourcefully, she uses her car keys to activate her car's alarm, momentarily diverting the killer's attention. Each of her actions highlights her determination to survive despite sustaining injuries throughout her escape efforts. The narrative takes a darker turn with the arrival of John, Sarah's boyfriend, who comes looking for her. Disguised as a police officer, the killer tells John about a suspect on the loose. John's suspicion grows, but tragically, he is fatally wounded before he can act on his instincts, amplifying the killer's sadistic nature and leaving Maddie in a deeper state of isolation. Recognizing the gravity of her situation, Maddie realizes that waiting for rescue is futile. Her internal dialogue shifts toward a more focused and resolute mindset as she contemplates her next action. In a crucial moment, she discerns that hiding or attempting further escape is not feasible. She must confront the intruder head-on if she hopes to survive. The film culminates in a gripping final confrontation in which Maddie ingeniously lures the killer into her home, leveraging the confined space to her advantage. Armed only with a knife, she prepares for the showdown. Underestimating Maddie, the killer believes her disability categorizes her as an easy target. However, Maddie transforms what he perceives as weaknesses into strengths, relying on silence and keen observation to outmaneuver him. As the climax unfolds, the tension escalates, showcasing Maddie's indomitable spirit. Cornered and injured, she fights back fiercely, culminating in a moment of triumph where she manages to stab the killer, ultimately delivering a fatal blow that ends his terror. In the aftermath, as dawn breaks, a bloodied but alive Maddie finds herself on her porch with her cat, previously escaped during the chaos, by her side. As she awaits the arrival of the police, her survival epitomizes resilience, intelligence, and an unyielding will to persist even when faced with overwhelming odds. Themes and symbolism. Hush delves into themes of survival, isolation, and the resilience of the human spirit. Initially, Maddie's disability is viewed as a weakness, yet it ultimately defines her resourcefulness and determination throughout the film. The narrative emphasizes the horrifying experience of being pursued by a predator and underscores the psychological fortitude needed to endure such situations. By immersing the audience into Maddie's point of view, silencing external sounds and amplifying visual cues, the film effectively captures her struggles, making her eventual triumph all the more impactful. The evolution of Maddie's character. Maddie starts as a reclusive, creative individual deeply valuing her solitude. Her isolation is a consequence of her circumstances rather than a personal choice. The loss of her hearing and speech during her teenage years, combined with a breakup and pressures related to her writing, has led her to retreat into an uncomplicated life. However, the unfolding events catalyze Maddie's transformation from an isolated person into a resilient fighter. As the perilous situation unfolds, she begins relying on her primal instincts, locking doors, jotting down messages, and seeking hiding spots. Yet as the night progresses and options become limited, Maddie draws from a profound reservoir of courage and intelligence. Her creative mind, once preoccupied with fictional narratives, transitions to envisioning real-life strategies to survive, each one increasingly ingenious and desperate. This transformation underscores Maddie's inner strength and adaptability, reinforcing the theme of survival. It illustrates the notion that even under the most daunting circumstances, an individual can summon the fortitude to confront an impending threat. Symbolism in Maddie's deafness. Maddie's deafness transcends mere plot mechanics. It serves as a crucial element of the narrative's tension and symbolism. Her inability to perceive sound magnifies her vulnerability, compelling her to rely on her intuition and other senses for survival. Ironically, this perceived deficiency becomes her greatest asset. Throughout the film, the contrast between Maddie's silence and the killer's menacing taunts creates a palpable tension. While the antagonist attempts to exert power over Maddie through intimidation, she cleverly utilizes silence to her advantage, attuning herself to the killer's movements and formulating her counter-strategies. The absence of sound also fosters a unique engagement for the audience, immersing them in Maddie's perspective and making her feelings of isolation and vulnerability acute. By curating moments of silence, the film invites viewers to share in Maddie's struggle, enhancing the overall emotional impact of her fight for survival. Brief yet impactful, amplifying the film's tension and demonstrating the cruel intentions of the antagonist. John's death serves as a stark reminder of the killer's relentless nature and the peril Maddie faces. Maddie's character. Maddie is a deaf writer whose disability shapes her experience throughout the film. Her silence is both a disadvantage and an asset. While it isolates her from typical responses, it also heightens her awareness of her surroundings, allowing her to adapt in unexpected ways. This duality enriches her character, making her relatable and resilient. Maddie's ingenuity shines through her strategic thinking during the Catandmus game, displaying her fierce determination to survive. The viewer becomes deeply invested in her journey as she transforms from a seemingly vulnerable individual into a resourceful fighter against her foe. Themes of isolation and survival. The themes of isolation and survival are central to Hush. Maddie's secluded home emphasizes her vulnerability yet also underscores her solitude as a source of strength. The killer's sadism is accentuated by the silence of the environment, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Maddie's isolated existence compels her to rely on her instinct and intelligence, highlighting the primal nature of survival. The film examines how one can confront overwhelming fear, showcasing the power of resilience when faced with dire circumstances. Conclusion. Hush effectively utilizes its antagonist and key scenes to build a gripping narrative filled with psychological tension and emotional depth. The nameless killer's sadism and the tension-filled dynamics between him and Maddie propel the story, offering a fresh take on the home invasion genre. Maddie's character embodies the themes of resilience and survival against a formidable foe, while the killer's overconfidence ultimately leads to his downfall. Through well-crafted, suspenseful scenes, the film invites the audience to engage in a visceral experience of fear and determination, making Maddie's triumph all the more satisfying. Overall, the film stands as a testament to the strength of the human spirit when confronted with unspeakable terror, transforming what could have been a typical horror narrative into a profound exploration of courage in the face of unimaginable odds. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.